Welcome to Mazi Lives. My name is Obris aka Mazi. Today I want to talk about sacrifice precedes reward. This can also be said as reward is at the other side of sacrifice. To have anything of value, you must sacrifice something to have that thing. So let's go back to the biblical history of Abraham. Abraham that is considered the father. Abraham was considered the father of all nations because of the sacrifice God told him to make. And this sacrifice God told him to make was to sacrifice his only son. Abraham, according to the Bible, had a son when he was 75 years old. Abraham has been looking for a child all through his life. Him and the wife, he doesn't have a child. Then later on, God gave him a child, a son called Isaac. Later on, God told him to sacrifice his only son for him. So Abraham did not hesitate. He didn't doubt God or anything. He took care of the situation. He took Isaac and he was about to go and sacrifice Isaac to God. When he got to where he was to make the sacrifice, that was when God intervened. Abraham was married for a very long time, but he never had a child. And when he finally had a child, God asked him to sacrifice the child, but he didn't hesitate. He moved on to sacrifice the child before God stopped him. So that sacrifice that he was about to make to God was what rewarded him to become the father of all nations. And that sacrifice was not just a sacrifice. A sacrifice, let's say you have been looking for a child all your life, and you finally had a child in your late age, 75 years, you don't even have another chance of having another child again. The chance of having another child is very slim because you've reached your old age. And Abraham didn't hesitate. He moved on to do this sacrifice, but God later stopped him. Imagine grinding all your life and finally become successful. Then God said you should give away all the things you've been working through your life, the money, the fame, and everything you have, that you should give it up for something. That was the situation Abraham was placed to make that difficult sacrifice, and he never hesitated because he believed he was doing it for a greater good. The essence of this story is to remind us that it was sacrifice that Abraham made that made him the father of all nations. If you want to become something worthwhile, if you want to become something useful, if you want to become something important, someone important, you have to make a sacrifice. But what sacrifice? Today, the sacrifice we're making in this world is not of the flesh and blood, but the sacrifice of good habits, sacrifice of working hard, sacrifice of studying hard, sacrifice of anything in your field that you can think of that you'll be working hard on the sacrifice you'll be making. Let's say you're a student, sacrificing your sleep for reading is going to be one of your major sacrifices. Your success is going to be determined by the magnitude of your sacrifice. How much you sacrifice into something is going to determine how much reward you are going to get from that thing. The magnitude of your sacrifice is going to determine the magnitude of your reward. If you look down in history, biblical history, Islamic history, or the world history itself, you will never see anybody that lived a comfortable life that was remembered for something remarkable. Someone like Abraham Lincoln, he abolished slavery in the United States. Abraham Lincoln became one of the greatest men in the United States. In fact, worldwide. There's nobody, I guess, in the United States that doesn't know Abraham Lincoln, both Keys and Aaron. So he sacrificed a lot, especially during the Civil War that the United States was about to be divided. He was assassinated along the line. But that his assassination is what cemented everything. It's what cemented his success for the cause he has been fighting for a very long time, for a greater good. He sacrificed so much for that cause, and that is how he is known today. We know Abraham Lincoln today because of the sacrifice he made. We know Mahatma Gandhi of India because of the sacrifice he made. We know Martin Luther King Jr. because of the sacrifice he made. We know Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana because of the sacrifice he made. We know Nelson Mandela of South Africa for the sacrifice he made. We know Socrates because of the sacrifice he made. We know Winston Churchill because of the sacrifice he made. We know Theodore Roosevelt because of the sacrifice he made. All these people, we know Jesus Christ for the sacrifice he made by dying on the cross for salvation of mankind. That is Christianity. We know Jesus Christ for that cause. We know Leonardo da Vinci, the king of Renaissance, of the sacrifice he made, the sacrifice of isolating himself for everyone, just for the pursuit of knowledge. It's not just for the pursuit of knowledge. And we know Muhammad Ali, the king of boxing, the Muhammad Ali that we all know. So these are all great people, but they were not just great for being great. They were great because of the magnitude of their sacrifice. The more you sacrifice, the more you are going to get. And it's as simple as that. This is how it has been from history to now. In Africa, we know Nelson Mandela for the sacrifice he made. In Ghana, we know Kwame Nkrumah for the sacrifice he made. In Tanzania, we know Julius Nyerere for the sacrifice he made. We know Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso for the sacrifice he made. We know Patrick Lumumba for the sacrifice he made in Congo. We also remember Haile Selassie of Ethiopia for the sacrifice he made. All these people are great people because of the magnitude of their sacrifice. There is nothing in this world that is worth having that you are not going to sacrifice something to get. So reward is at the other side of sacrifice. That is what this topic is about. So anything you are doing, if you don't want to sacrifice anything for that cause, that thing is probably not worth having. And you should remember, history does not remember the comfortable. It only remembers those that have sacrificed something for a greater good. In our today's world, the job you are in, you are paid for sacrificing your time to work there. Nobody will say, okay, I want to call you into the job, let me reward you before you start working. It does not work like that. You must work before you get paid. That is how it works. That is it. The payment you get from your work is going to be equivalent to the work you do for whatever industry you are in. And that is sacrifice. You must sacrifice something to get something in return. That is how the world has been placed, and that is how it has always been. But to get something worth having, you must sacrifice something. Reward is at the other side of sacrifice and not before sacrifice. One of my greatest life philosophy is work now and play later, or play now and work later. But either way, you are going to pay. The choice of sacrificing to work hard now, to enjoy your life later, to have a good life later is yours. That is one of the greatest gifts that all humans have. The choice to choose what we want. And it's in the mind. You choose what you want, or you get what life serves you by default. The choice is yours. You can choose to be great, or you can decide to be a nobody. The choice has always been ours from the beginning of time. When you make this choice, you should stand firm to go through all the sacrifice that comes with whatever field you choose, because at the end, the sacrifice is going to be worth it. This is all we'll be talking about today on reward is at the other side of sacrifice. Stay safe. See you in the next topic.